a after a long hiatus as GM, I am running another game tonight, this afternoon, morning, whichever time it is for you when you're watching this. For us, it's Sunday morning, and we have a great crew today, and they are all coming to the table with agent characters, super agents. And so we're going to get started with that. Let's go around the table. Let's start with our purple player. And we will just have you do a quick introduction of who your agent character is. These aren't our normal superheroes. They're playing alternate characters for this one shot. So let's start with our purple player, and then we'll go to red, and then yellow, and green, and blue, and just go around the table. All right, go ahead and get started.
Okay. Well, Hunter is purple. Hunter is a fairly young fellow, new to the team. Is taken in for his apparent knack for making really big holes with an anti-material rifle, which he is somehow able to carry concealed. The team caught him setting up to snipe a target previously that they had planned to engage and took him in after he proved quite useful. He spent most of the prior 4 years being raised and trained by his Special Forces father, who was hiding out in the Wyoming mountain wilderness after the Great Vanishing. Apparently, he had attracted the wrong attention himself. Sadly, his father died recently, but he had salted away some rather nice equipment that Hunter has inherited, and which includes, among other things, his rather customized Barrett 95, which is a 50 caliber sniper rifle.
All right, cool. Let's move around the table. Who's next? Rampage?
Sure. I'm playing a character named Eclipse. His real life name is Craig Klein, and he goes by CC, or his agent name Eclipse. He was or is a ex Viper agent that broke away from Viper after being coming to the realization that they were doing evil things. He is hunted by them now. They're trying to get him back into their fold, and he is a combat pilot. He's good with vehicles and vehicle weapons. He doesn't really have much in the way of range. He's more of a hand-to-hand fighter. He's skilled in some martial arts and is pretty good with ropes and chains and using them to enhance his fighting ability.
All right, cool. Ricochet.
Ricochet. So, my character is an agent who was in the Ranger Corps, and he is also a sniper specialist. Um, using some of his special abilities include using a ranged disarm. I can shoot weapons out of people's hands. So I've added some martial arts with my ranged weapons, plus a couple martial arts maneuvers. I have absolute range sense as a talent. A whole bunch of different skills, usually referring to outdoor activities because I wasn't sure what we were making when we were making this, so that's what I meant.
That's good. Just, yep. All right, good. Jerry JVJ.
Yeah. All right. Sparks is a early cyberpunk. He actually jacks in and the web stuff. He's a former until electronic warfare agent, and shortly after the vanishing, he started squirreling away data from just about anything he could hack into and store. He also knows where some of the deactivated bases kind of uh, the caches are. So
Cool. Thank you. Okay, good. So in our, just to kind of review mission rules, which is kind of an addition to this particular campaign, there is a set of rules that are swiped from a different game, but they're actually kind of cool for getting started into um, some scenarios. And we used them last year around this time, and then with lockdowns and garbage like that to deal with, we got a little away from them. But I'm going to re-implement them for this game. And so here it comes. For mission rules, there is an approach to the mission. So your mission is generally this. You have received some intel from an informant that has told you that there are some NAGA, which is the Viper's new branding. For any of you who don't know, Viper, after the vanishing under Destroyer, coordinating with Destroyer, they consolidated their forces into North America, leaving other agencies or villainous organizations of large size to manage Europe or the Asian continent or South America, etc. And
They
so
carved up the world.
they focused then on um, replacing law enforcement effectively. So they drafted some people into their organization. They, but having consolidated their international organization into North America, they took over basically managing the people and the laws with their own discriminatory powers. They also employed several super agencies, not super agencies, super villains as kill squads, enforcers, especially at the beginning when there were some initial um, major problems with bad guys suddenly taking over and a huge vacuum of good guys. So NAGA, North American Gendarme Agency, I think is what their NAGA stands for. They have taken that over. So you have received some intel from an informant that there will be some high-powered assets being transported in the form of vehicles and that sort of thing. Certainly, they referenced some hover bikes or flying motorcycles, basically that are armed. They referenced a large 4x4 command center, basically, kind of. It's an armored vehicle and then some troop transports as well for getting NAGA soldiers into certain places and doing whatever they need to do with it. So you have taken that intel and matched it up with a particular train route on a particular train, and you are currently deciding how you're going to get on this. So I'm assuming that we're looking at, is it going to be an assault, deception, stealth? It sounds to me like you're aiming more at stealth, right? You want to sneak onto the train?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
the missing detail is the point of infiltration. And so you've said you're going to use some equipment in the form of your elastic ropes and such to attach to the train as it comes out of the tunnel, which is its most vulnerable point that Sparks discovered along the route. The train will be in a tunnel, so it will be out of communication because it's going through a fairly large mountain, and so it will be dark from satellites, etc. But as it comes out, it takes a couple minutes for it to reestablish everything as it's cruising along, and so that's how you're going to do it. All right, so we have an engagement roll to see how well your approach works. And so you have some major advantages. And one is, first off, let's designate one person on your team to make the die roll. You guys fight over that while I look over the major advantages, major disadvantages, and other elements. Go ahead.
I choose rampage.
I
Works for me.
second the nomination.
All right. Okay, so it's going to be a basic 3d6 die roll. It is just a situational die roll. So get ready to do it. Don't do it yet, because what we have to do is figure out what the mods are. So, is this operation particularly bold or daring? Seems like it. You're trying to board a train while it's rolling along at 50, 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, we're agents. That's normal.
That's right. So take -1 for that. So
Oh.
just you add up. No, -1's good because you want to roll low, right?
Oh, okay.
So does the plan's detail expose the vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? Yeah, I think so. We've discussed that's the most vulnerable place to get on. So -1. Is the target strongest against this approach having perks, talents that are helpful? It's the target. No, I don't think so. Do you have skills, no more than one per PC, that are relevant?
Yes.
Okay,
I would
I
expect
believe
so.
those of you who have a skill that's relevant, let's discuss that real quick, and then you need to make a successful skill roll. And if that
Okay.
skill, like what is your role in getting on the train stealthily? And what skill are you going to use to do it? And if you have a relevant skill, let me know, and then we'll have you make a skill roll. And for every successful skill roll, it's another -1.
All right. Well, Eclipse is going to be responsible for getting the chain attached to the train. For that, his skill is actually a power, and it's he has swinging and stretching. So with the
Okay,
stretching
so an
and the
attack
swinging, he
roll,
can
an attack roll
attack.
on your part is going to be necessary for you to hit the train, right?
Correct. Yeah.
All right, so let's say that it's going to be a DCV 5 because the train's moving, so it's not like you're just hitting a hex, you're hitting a moving hex.
Okay.
So go ahead and just try to hit DCV 5 with your power. Ooh, hoo, hoo. Okay, so you succeed, so that's -1 for you. So are you adding these up, right?
Yep. That's 3
Okay.
so far.
-3 so far.
All right. Okay, so who's next? Eclipse, we just did you. Ricochet,
I'll do it again if you want.
no.
So
Well,
I
yeah, because
have
then we can maybe take your -1 away. Go for it. See if you miss.
Oh, I have
That'd
no.
put
I
a
have other.
damper on getting on the train if you just missed, right?
I have other skills I can use to help along if we needed.
Okay,
So
Ricochet, you get one.
Sure, I have stealth at 13, shadowing at 12, contortionist at 13. Are there any complementary skills that
Try
can add?
just do stealth. Just roll stealth. See if you can succeed at that. Sparks, you're next. Sparks, what have you got?
Well, for doing that, I've got tactics, teamwork, and
Teamwork. That's a
Succeeded
good
by
one.
5.
Succeeded by 5.
yeah,
Good.
I guess
Okay. All right, use your teamwork.
teamwork.
Yep. And then Hunter.
Hunter has quite a few skills, but I take it we can
Made
can
it
use
by 2.
similar skills to other people, or do we all have to have different skills?
No, it could be the same skill. It just needs to be a relevant skill.
Okay. Well, he's got stealth as well as among other things, so I guess he would attempt to contribute with a stealth roll.
Okay.
Um,
Ooh.
and apparently not. No,
That's
sorry.
because that'll be a +1, right?
No, it just means you don't get the -1 also.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. We try to make this roll as counterintuitive as possible. Okay, is the operation overly complex or contingent on many factors? I think so, because you're even missing some intel. So you would take +1 for that.
Okay.
So that
Are
gives us a
any
-4 total.
so are there any enemies or rivals interfering with the operation? I would
Not
say
this time.
NAGA is there, so they're going to interfere with your operation, so you can take a +1 for that. And any other complications that could infect the engagement negatively. Nope. All right. Are there any luck or unluck dice?
I have 1 unluck.
Okay. Take a +1 for that.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't have to roll for it first.
No.
Oh, cheap.
Oh dear.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Any luck to help counter his unluck? Nope.
Nope.
Bueller? Nope. All right. Let's see. A lower tier target, higher tier target, maybe a situation in the vicinity that makes the operation more or less tricky. All right.
Well, remember our Sparks was going to do what he could to slow it down a little bit with the speed gauge actually lying to the driver.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's what the whole thing about the Wi-Fi booster, since we were not in to be able to hack into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a -1 for that. All right. Just roll 3d6 and let's see
And you
what.
and you get to subtract a 3 from whatever you roll.
Okay. Haha.
Nice.
So you rolled 7.
-3 makes 4.
Wow. That's a pretty good roll.
I think so.
All right. So exceptional result. You've already overcome the first obstacle and you're in a controlled position for what's next. All right, so we're going to do some mind's eye stuff. I was going to build a train, but I didn't think that was all that necessary. So you
Okay.
are. All right, so let me set the scene. The camera flies down onto the dark countryside of, well, it's maybe sunset, dusk, and the camera flies down to a speeding train cruising across the Pennsylvania um, landscape, entering the Appalachian Mountains, and it winds through the lower hills as it goes deeper into the Appalachians. And then, as the camera shifts through some of the mountainside, there is a zoom in to a train tunnel, and then as it pans up from the train tunnel, there are 4 various different agents hooking up um, to special cabling, elastic ropes. A chain starts to spin as one of them stops and pauses and checks, and he says, "Okay, 45 seconds." And then the camera cuts to the train operator as the engineers are sitting in the control room. That's the first basic engine car on the train. They're sitting there and they're talking about various different things that have to do with their poker game last night or what have you. They're joking about it, and so they don't notice as the train rolls over um, these devices buried in the track that suddenly shoot up from the ground and attach to the bottom of the train and begin flickering some LED lights on the underside of the train. There is a
Sorry,
what?
I have a cough.
Oh, so the devices start flickering, and then there is a small glitch on the control panel as the train naturally slows anyway to enter the tunnel and the curve that's past the tunnel, but it slows even a little bit further, but the display shows the speed is as expected. You can hear the train coming through the tunnel as the camera moves to the exit of the tunnel as the train approaches, and Eclipse begins to sling his chain around, getting ready to attach it to the train. The first car comes out, the second car comes out, the third car comes out, and Eclipse lets the chain go. It attaches to a section just in between the cars where there is some mounted upper equipment and ladders, and all of you are yanked off the side of the mountain, the cliffside there above the train. But you land all very carefully on top of the train, and you are on board, and you quickly move to what appears to be one of the cargo um, cars. They are self-contained. They're large and self-contained, and they're bigger than normal train cars. This train has some wider areas that are bigger, a little bit bigger for carrying a larger cargo. And you move to that and uh, quickly access one of the hatches in the top of the cargo. There's a large, so like as they're loading, the walls of the train car will fold out a little bit, like maybe like the opposite of Lamborghini doors, right? It will actually split open and like claws or a jaw basically, and then they can put the cargo down inside, and then it will close back up over the top. So you guys access a hatch and you drop down inside one of the cargo cars, and in here you do see the 4x4 tracks, the command unit, and so this is a beautiful piece of equipment that was no doubt developed by probably like Primus or something, and then they co-opted it and worked on it some more and turned it into a NAGA device. So it is this big vehicle. There must be some other vehicles on another car maybe, but you are now in here. So in Theater of the Mind, what would you like to do?
Well,
Well,
Sparks is going to climb into his cyber stuff and do what he can to take of
You
the train.
okay? So you're going to try to get onto one of the somehow tap into the controls of the train so that you can continue to block their communications and so on. Is that what you?
Right. Continue
Okay.
to block communications, um, looking for automatic decouple, um,
Cool. Okay.
and door controls.
All right. So you're going to try to get more information about the train, et cetera. I got you. All right. I'm going to go down the list so that you don't talk over each other and just call you out and ask you what you're going to do. Eclipse, what are you up to?
what cart of the train are we in?
You are about 4 cars down, and you are in a cargo car,
And how many
and
are there behind us?
there are like 8 other cars.
Okay.
So it's not a long train, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And so they have various other. There's like 2 or 3 other cargo cars probably, and there are some other cars. So
Do we know if this is the most forward cargo?
yes,
It is.
yes.
All right. So that means um, Eclipse is going to move towards the front of this cargo train to the door and look through it to see if he sees if he can see into the next train or cargo.
There will be a slit about 2 inches tall that stretches across the door, so you can look and see outside, and you can see the next car. It has similar and configuration on its door, and there is. It's not an external. It's more like a baffle between the cars, so it is self-contained. There's no outside per se.
No, it's not exposed.
Correct.
Right. Um, can he see the floor panel there? Like maybe he could get to the coupler?
Yeah, you could certainly go through that. Like I'm sure it's mounted and it's on swivels. Like I would imagine it'd be like I've not been on a train like that before, but I imagine it would be like those long buses that are actually like 2 buses put together or whatever, and so they're all connected and you can walk across them and they move like on joints. So you
Right,
could
right, right.
you could go
So
through that stuff.
there may be a way to open them up, but
Yeah.
right now he's still in the cargo thing. So he's gonna say, "Hey, can I get some cover? I'm gonna see if I can figure this out." And he'll
Okay.
open the door and start looking at. He has some mechanic skills, so maybe he can figure out how to disconnect it.
Okay. Ricochet, what are you going to do?
And I have to head to the restroom real quick, so I'll be back in a minute.
Okay.
Sorry,
Ricochet.
I was on mute.
Yep.
I have a lock picking if that's of any help to as a complementary skill for Eclipse.
Getting through the door. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
You probably, just saying here, this is this particular vehicle is a ground vehicle, but it's got treads and it looks very capable of handling almost any terrain. Um, and it does have some large weaponry on it. Um, and it seats probably two people in the front section, much like maybe an F-15 cockpit. And then there is an upper section that looks like maybe the top of a tank. And that's where the major weapons are. This upper section area has a place where someone could sit outside, like partially exposed, or they could get down inside and stay inside. So that that's what this vehicle looks like, by the way. There are some other crates and stuff, but they are probably things like ammunition or who knows, little things like that. Probably not anything that's a big. But what I was going to say is that this vehicle looks like you could probably, if you opened the car at an appropriate speed, you could probably just drive the darn thing straight off the edge and even down the ravine or whatever, right? It probably wouldn't go up a cliff, but it could handle uh, all kinds of terrain. So once you got to a place and it was just slow enough, you could probably just launch that thing right off. Anyway, so you're going to work on unlocking the doors so that uh, Eclipse can get out between the train and try to decouple. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Sparks, we talked about what you're going to do. Yes,
I
what?
thought Sparks was doing the decoupling.
He is. Well, he's connecting into the train system so that he can try to control it. He is looking for a way maybe to decouple or do something electronically, and that's what he's basically just tapping into the train controls right now. Hunter, what's your plan?
Well, we had previously discussed in chat the idea of decoupling the rear section of the train where there might be reinforcements that would be coming for us before we decoupled from the front of the train, because then the rear of the train would decelerate further and be left behind, putting distance between those reinforcements and us, and then decouple the engine from the rest. So the engine keeps going while we slow down, and putting distance between any forces that might be there and us. And
Okay.
then we would escape with the vehicles. Right now, what Hunter would be doing is to simply, is there room on top of the vehicle for Hunter to give cover to everybody else, regardless of where they are in this particular segment?
On top of the cars?
Yeah, on top of the, well, there's one vehicle in this cart, is that correct?
Oh, yes, right.
Okay. So yeah, because if he's in front of the vehicle, he can't see behind. If he's behind the vehicle, he can't see in front. But if he's on top of the vehicle, he can see in both directions.
I see. Okay, so you're talking about, is there headroom inside the car for you to be on top of the vehicle to be able to see if someone comes in the car from the front or the back?
Correct.
Okay. And so you're going to be kind of watching. You're going to be lookout.
Yeah, he's that's basically his job is Overwatch. He's
Okay.
the sniper. He's supposed to spot danger before anybody else and be in a position to deal with it.
Right.
Perfect.
All right. Very good. All right. So Sparks, you tap into the train controls. You let's have a skill roll from you. What is a good? Do you have systems?
Yes, I have systems operation.
Okay. All right. Let's make a
I'm going. Right.
systems operations roll for me.
Right, and I'm putting the skill jack into the +2 with all non-combat.
Okay.
It's like seated by 7.
Nice. All right, so great roll. You are in. You pull up the current configuration of the train. You see that there are 2 cars at the end that have some miscellany and personnel areas. So definitely a human-oriented set of cars. Then there is a cargo car, and then there are 2 more personnel cars, and then another cargo car, and then 2 more personnel cars, and then the current car that you're in. You have tapped to where the communications is, and you'll need to make 1 more skill roll for me. I want you to do a security systems roll, please, and that will see if you can hack through their security and block communications.
All right, switching the levels to that. Well, don't have to because it's with all non-combat. Not as good, but succeeded by
Succeeded
3.
by 3 should be enough.
All right, good. So, all right, so you have successfully blocked communications. You're in. All right. Eclipse
Fantastic.
and Ricochet. Ricochet, let's see if you can get those doors unlocked.
I will definitely pass off the information about the layout.
Okay.
All right.
Want me to test it, or do you want to test
All right, so
Succeeded
Ricochet
by 1.
has unlocked the door. There are some electronic controls, and he bypasses those with a little piece of
Oh, there's
equipment he pulls out.
electronic controls. No, somebody else is gonna have to help me out there. He's more of a mechanic.
Yeah.
If there's mechanical controls, he can do it. Otherwise, he's gonna need a hand.
Yep, so Ricochet gets the doors unlocked. Eclipse, the door slides open, and you have access to the section between cars.
Great.
What are you going to do? You're going to go in there. Are you looking to remove plating or open it and
Yeah.
somehow access the coupler and all that kind of stuff?
Correct. Yeah, he wants to remove plating to open it so that he can manually decouple it.
Okay, so it looks
A
like
car,
it's kind of all screwed down, locked down, bolted, all that kind of stuff. Are you looking to like tear through it, or do you have another idea? Like probably the coupling happens from outside, not inside.
Right.
is there another vehicle in the car in front of us?
No, that's
No,
those are personnel, yeah,
Okay.
or miscellany or something.
Yeah. You've got the engine, the 2 miscellany, then us, and then 2 personnel miscellany, then another cargo, then 2 miscellany, then another cargo.
So
Is
ending
it
with 2
it's
miscellany.
actually physically bolted down so that the hatch can't just be like opened up like with a couple of lever handles or something like that where it can be hinged open.
Yeah, I don't even
coupled
think a crowbar would
electronically?
do it. So they're jointed so that it can do corners and things like that, and it
I
moves.
get it.
But no,
Okay. So
there's no easy way
I
to
need
get
to
through
be
that.
outside of the train if I want to be able to open it up.
Yeah, not only outside, but
But
down
under
kind
it.
of underneath. If the train was
Mm-hmm.
stopped, that would be easy peasy, right? And then
Yeah, but it would also defeat the purpose.
there's probably mechanical things that connect the baffling and make sure the jointing is working and all that kind of stuff after you couple the vehicles. All that stuff goes into place. So, yeah, probably not from right inside here. Okay, unless you wanted to use brute force of some kind.
Could it be done electronically?
Certainly parts of it could. So maybe even Sparks could try to do that. But it seems like there's also some manual aspects. They wouldn't
Okay.
do this 100% computer operated, right?
Right.
There would be definitely some manual
So
processes to physically put the cars together.
Eclipse is going to inform his teammates. It looks like we're going to have to use some brute force here, which is most likely going to alert the guards in the next cart. So, looking in the cart that we're in, is there anything that I could use to block the door?
Lock it back up, and since it's electronic, I'll change the keys.
Yeah, so unless he just hacked the doors, so that's something he could do is he could try to hack the doors so that they won't open. Like you then can have control of how you move from car to car. But you can also do that climbing up on top of the car again and running down the top of the car, so long as you don't make too much noise over cars that have people in them.
Mm.
Right. What I want to do is lock the doors coming out of the personnel miscellany
Mm-hmm.
uh, cars,
Okay.
not necessarily in and out of the cargo cars.
Right. Okay. All right. So that'll be your next action. Will you have your security systems roll on that again next action? So for the meantime,
Roger
though,
that.
Eclipse, do you want to try to brute force through the joint plating or do something different? Because you're right, probably damaging that would set off some sensors that might alert people. Okay, Ricochet, what do you want to do next? And then Hunter, what do you want to do next? I'm assuming Sparks, you're going to be locking that door, right? So locking those doors. So
Roger.
Ricochet, what are you going to do next? Then Hunter, tell me what you're up to.
Okay, so we're kind of working in two-man teams at this point in time. Yes, no?
Well, Hunter's basically just play Overwatch. He's not going to be leaving the two-man team that's in front exposed to enemy fire. He's sitting in the turret of the vehicle to make sure that nobody engages by surprise.
Did you guys want to do what you were going to do in chat, where you start with the back of the train and drop off parts of the train that way, or work on this coupling here?
I would
Well,
like to do the back of the train to
I was gonna
try to disconnect some of the potential agents.
yeah. Um,
definitely.
are we going to try and get away with more than one vehicle?
Yeah, all of them, or at least as
As
many as
many
there
as
are of us.
Yeah,
well, I
as many
definitely
as you
want to
can.
try to get this. I definitely want to try to get this. I want to see if I can also later on in a little bit see if I can slave the flying bikes to just one of them, and then one of us take and just that way we can grab as many of those as we can. If I can't
Okay.
slave them, I want to trash them electronically.
Okay. Interesting.
So you're saying anything you can't take, you want to make unavailable?
Roger that.
Yeah. Okay.
Change the programming.
Okay. So am I understanding then that Sparks is going to lock the doors on the personnel cars, and then the team of four of you are going to travel to the rear of the train somehow and try to take out the last two cars so they're not a factor in, pain and injury in the
Yes.
rest of the mission.
Yeah.
All right. So
I guess so.
are you going to do that from the top of the train, or are you going to run down the top of the train? There's no more tunnels for quite some time. So,
Well, we would have to go through several personnel cars, engaging the personnel in it if we were to go through the cars.
yep, I think you're
So
right.
Over the top.
going over the top of the train seems the most practical in that regard.
Okay.
The trick would be doing so without calling attention to ourselves.
Yes.
Um,
Nobody wants to try climbing underneath the train?
uh,
Not really.
Do an Indiana Jones eclipse. Come on. All right. Okay. So, all right. So you guys climb back up. You've identified what's in this cargo car, and kind of you've learned how the train cars are connected. And so now you're going to head down the train. So, what do you think is a good skill to use for that? It seems like stealth could
Can
play
I
a
have some rice?
role in this. What? Yes. What?
Yes, please.
yeah, I would say
Oh,
stealth would
sorry about that.
assist most simply by not making too much sound.
Okay. So not all of you have stealth, so that's good. for me. But what about you guys? What else could you be using? So Sparks doesn't have any stealthy stuff. He normally is just hiding in the corner doing things. So Sparks, are you going to stay in this car, or do you have some other idea of how you're gonna to get across the tops of the trains? There's some peril in doing that on a moving train as well. You could literally fall off the train. Um, they're big cars, but nonetheless, there's a lot of wind and so on.
Climbing or break fall might be of
Argument.
use.
Okay.
Yeah, Eclipse has all those skills, but
Okay.
Unfortunately, nope.
Pick one you think that is most appropriate. So, Sparks, for example, are you going to stay behind or are you going to make the trek?
I think it's actually wiser for him to stay behind, stay in connected, um, monitoring internal communications just in case they hear anything, and working on at least electronically disconnecting the last two cars. If I
Okay.
remember correctly, it's the last two are personnel miscellany,
Yep.
then a cargo. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
All
behind the
right.
last cargo, drop the rest of the train.
Okay.
And somebody needs to be here in any case to drive off with the big vehicle, the command vehicle.
Yeah,
Yep.
I guess I'll have to.
there are multiple vehicles that we want to drive away, right?
Yes.
Correct.
So we'll need multiple people for multiple vehicles.
Right.
So there are a couple of personnel transport vehicles. This one is kind of like a command vehicle. It's a Trax all-terrain, kind
Yep.
of
We definitely want that one.
assault vehicle.
Yep.
And then there
Which
are
is
the two hover bike things that fly and have weaponry as well.
All right. Well, that would be good for Eclipse because he's got combat piloting.
Cool.
So he should probably be one of those. If the other ground vehicles can be driven by anybody who can drive something, though, right?
Yeah,
I hope so.
combat driving would be required for doing stuff in combat maneuvers and things like that, but everyone can pretty much just drive.
Okay.
well, I'll download a driving program for this type of vehicle,
Okay, so
or
you
upload it.
you go on to Two Cows and start looking for driving programs. Gotcha.
Well, it's the ability to ship skills. Yeah, I don't know.
Google driving programs. Gotcha. Okay. All right. All right. So then let's get you down the train. So you guys climb up and back out. And Eclipse, why don't you roll stealth, and then Ricochet, you had stealth too, right? Hunter, do you have stealth?
Yes.
Maybe. Okay. All right. So you guys roll your stealth, and then I also want Eclipse to roll his unluck.
I thought a luck is only rolled when you're on the winning side. Right now, are we winning?
Absolutely.
Ah. All right.
They don't even know you're on the train. You are
I'll take
totally
my
winning.
1d6 unluck roll now.
That's right. Let's have a one. Let's do it.
Hold on. Let me just find
It's a
it.
1
My
in 6
lowest
chance for me
number.
to wreck your day.
Hey,
Oh.
Here it
Pete.
is. Just special for you.
You did it. Good
You're
job.
welcome.
It's only one die though, so I can't really do a lot.
It,
All
it
right.
doesn't seem to.
Oh, you wanted a
Yeah.
stealth roll too?
Yes, please. Ricochet succeeded on his stealth roll. Hunter, you rolled a 16. That sucks. What were you trying to do?
Yep.
You were trying to do stealth?
I was trying to do stealth, yeah, and I failed miserably.
Oh.
I'm looking for skill roll. Yeah.
So
None of my skills actually appear under skill rolls. Sort of answer
really?
Amarak's question.
That's
Yeah.
weird. They're showing for me. I'm looking at it. Huh.
I've got perception 12 or less, combat skill
Oh,
levels, penalty
you
skill
have
level.
to, they're paginated, so you need to go to the right and click the down arrow.
Oh crap!
Now you're
I've
on
had
2 of 7.
My unluck roll is doing really well,
Nice.
and it influenced
You
my
failed
stealth
by
roll
4.
too. Yeah, that was my stealth roll.
Okay. So, all right. So you guys are kind of running down the train as safely as you can. It's the train will rock a little bit and bang a little bit and kind of up and down a little bit. So it's kind of like a fun house trying to get down the top of the train. And so Hunter, you taking the lead. You're also kind of sighting down the barrel. You got your rifle ready to go while you're running down, just in case anything pops up in front of you.
Yeah.
And so you didn't do so well because you rolled a 16 on your skill roll.
Well,
And so,
these rifle sights create a bit of tunnel vision, so
yeah,
it's kind of hard to watch where you're going.
yeah. So you at some point you trip a little bit and you hit down to a knee and then are popping back up again, but it kind of bangs on the roof. So I want to roll and see if I'm just gonna roll and I'm gonna choose this guy because of the unluck roll. So let's see what that looks like. Oh, damn. Okay, so the one guy that could hear you didn't. All right, so now we have Ricochet. You rolled your stealth and succeeded by 1, so you're good. But now we've got Eclipse. Eclipse is behind, and the two of you, and so he's the third one, and bringing up the rear there. And as he's running, he also falls and does the same kind of thing. It's not that big a deal, but he kind of shifts and falls down the side of the
Can I
car.
can I make a an acrobatics roll to see if
Absolutely,
I can control that action?
you can absolutely.
All right.
I am not without mercy. Oh,
There we go. There's a better roll.
okay, good. So now we're gonna have this guy.
Hey Jim, my
Yeah,
wife wants to know what kind of game master you are, anyways.
I am. I am veiled with kindness. But as we find out now, so you slide down the side of the car and you grab onto the top, but as uh, so you're holding on to kind of a rail across the top with one arm, and the rest of you is down to the side. You can flip and go back up, but as you go past one of the windows, there is a NAGA agent in there, and he's looking out the window, and suddenly looks up at you, and his eyes get really big, and so you can pull yourself back up, or you can do something else. What do you want to do? You make eye contact though, and that's awkward.
Awkward.
You're
You
muted.
might be muted.
Tell him you want to meet him later.
Right. Okay, so we'll come back to that in just a second. I'm not sure. Maybe he got pulled away from the table, from his
Yeah.
computer. All
Who
right.
was it that you were looking for? I thought you
Oh,
said somebody
sorry,
else.
Eclipse.
Okay.
So, no, you did your acrobatic roll, so you've managed to catch on the side. You're in a great position just to fling yourself back up, but you make eye contact through a window with a NAGA agent.
Oh, well, that's inconvenient. I let everybody know. Cover's blown. Get ready for incoming.
Okay, Sparks, you're tapped into the system, and you hear, um, Commander, I think we might have an issue.
All right, I'm going to try to control the communications. Either, well, now that I've found the frequency, I'm going to load it with static.
Okay. What do you mean issue, Jackson? What are you talking about? So, all right. So then, okay. So you are trying to block out that however, it's regular radio. It's not tapped into the train. So unless do you have a way to you jam regular radio?
I have sensory suppression versus machines.
No. Yeah, that's not going to work. I don't think. Is it?
Well, it's mental illusions.
That sounds right.
Does it? Okay. All right. And what's the range on that?
Line of sight.
Okay.
Um,
So how does that work exactly? I want to know. It's meant to be a jamming thing, right? You said mental
right.
illusions were to work on machines, so you're basically it would be images, not mental illusions, right?
Well, it's bought through. He's also got a high range radio hearing, and so I can use that to like go in the internet and things like that. So he's I can do that to brain damage. Mouth doesn't
Okay.
work. Uh,
So
um,
I
yeah.
think the intention of the power was specifically that he would be able to do things like this.
Okay.
yes.
So let's see. That's funny. You actually have a power that says I know Kung Fu. That's funny. Okay. All right. So then, what would be used for that? Well, go ahead and roll your attack roll on the radio system.
Yee.
Okay.
Well, I hit a 7.
All right. That hits. So let's see what your mental illusions comes up with as a result. 25.
25.
Okay.
Wow, pretty good.
All right. So you've jammed it up. That would be okay. Maybe 2 times almost. All right. Or plus 10 at least. So all right. So you've jammed it up. You filled it with static. Good deal. All right. Now let's see. Eclipse. What are you going to do? You've kind of told everyone, complications, radio chatter, and then jamming. Now what? You're still hanging there on the
Yeah.
side of the car, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna swing back up onto the top of the
Okay.
cart.
All right. So you swing back up. We'll say you do that reflexively as part of your acrobatics roll, and you're letting people know as you swing back up that there was an issue. All right. So now what are you going to do? You have alerted some people on some of the cars, which means potentially you've got word of mouth now. Radio is jammed. So people on that car that you're standing on will soon be mobilizing. What's the
I'm gonna
plan
go to
from here?
I'm gonna go to the hatch where they would be coming out if they want to engage us.
Okay.
And if anybody comes through, I'm gonna smack them, or I'm gonna try and knock them off the train if they jump out. And
Is this a
hopefully,
ceiling hatch?
hope yeah, I would assume it's a ceiling hatch.
Okay. Okay.
Hopefully, between our snipers and myself, we can take out whatever agents are in that train. And if their communication is jammed long enough, maybe other parts of the train won't be alerted and come and engage us as well.
Okay. All right. So Ricochet and Hunter, you've been running ahead, but you just heard him over the radio alert you that that he's been seen. So are you going to keep running?
Would stop.
What are you going to do?
Hunter would stop. He would turn around. He would go prone. He would set with his rifle, and he would be ready for anybody popping up to take a shot.
To become a headless Naga agent, yeah? Okay.
Exactly.
Eclipse sees him pointing his huge gun at him and says, "Hey, hey, hey! Be careful! I'm here still."
He'll just have to shoot between your legs. No problem.
Yeah,
There's
you
no
might want to
potential for
get out of
things
the
to
way.
go wrong. There's no potential for things to go wrong shooting you between the legs. All right. Eclipse, Ricochet, what's your plan?
Sure. How many cars ahead are we to Eclipse?
Let's say that you are almost at the last cargo car. So you have the car that you're on, and then there's the cargo car, and then two other personnel cars on the end of the train. If we're talking about how many cars to the back of the train are you, there are, beginning at the caboose, there are two personnel cars, a cargo car, and then the one you're on.
Okay. So
Who am I-
Eclipse or Hunter is aiming to shoot anybody who may come out to attack Eclipse. I'm going to go into the same pose but face the other way in case somebody comes up from the other end.
Okay. So the other end of which car? The current one you're standing on?
So is the car going north, south, east, west?
Just use front to back because it doesn't.
Okay, so Hunter is facing front,
Front.
so I'll face back.
Okay. So but on the same car. Okay.
Yes.
So you're not going to keep going across the cargo car and down or whatever. Because the idea, what I have in my head that you guys are going to do is go to the last cargo car, and then at the back end of that cargo car, decouple the train so that the last two cars fall off the train, right?
Yeah, that was the plan.
Yeah. And so
Um,
no plan survives contact with the enemy, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I don't know that I have the skills to be able to do that. To do the decoupling.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was the guy who's now, was it Eclipse?
Yeah.
Who's hanging over the edge? Yeah, that
Yeah,
guy.
I think
I
Eclipse is the
was
one.
hanging over the edge. Thank you.
Right. Am I correct that Eclipse has the skills necessary to decouple the train?
He has mechanic skills, so he should be
certainly
able
all
to
the
handle it. Just
physical.
getting access to it is the hard part.
Okay.
And that's practically taken care of for you probably by your chain. So you could swing down and manage it from outside. So you probably not a terribly big deal.
Okay.
That'll work.
Yeah, if we are in radio communication, I would recommend that Eclipse come back to where we are and proceed to try to decouple the train. And Hunter will engage anybody that comes up and tries to get to us.
All right, that sounds fine. Looking for a fast way to get to the very back of the train without making too much noise. Is there like a pole or a tree that we're passing that he can swing off of and let the train pass and drop onto the back of the train?
Sure.
That seems like a Mission Impossible type thing to do.
Let's see that. I want to see that. So
Yeah,
you really want to make sure you're dropping off at the back end of the cargo car, not the back end of the.
Not the back end of the train.
We want to decouple the last two carts.
Yep. So you want to land. You want to be another car down.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So you want to swing, like reach out, swing on a tree or a post or something along the side of the tracks.
Sure. I'll take
swing around and land back on the train again, right?
Yeah. That sounds like a good 12 or less on acrobatics. This should be no problem.
I'd like to see that. Let's see that happen. Nice.
Oh!
Is this where I have you roll unluck again? No, I'm kidding. So I'm kidding. All right, so you swing around, land right on the tail end of the cargo train where you wanted to land.
Right.
Good job.
From there, he'll make his way down to try to decouple.
Okay, so then you are going to just attach the chain to something above and just kind of like drop down the side of the baffled area and work your way kind of under the train where it decouples. Yeah.
Right, and hopefully I have a crowbar with me.
Do you
Well, you're a
carry?
mechanic.
Do you
You'd be
carry a
properly
crowbar?
equipped.
Is that something you just carry?
Well, on this kind of a mission, I think that we would have some hand tools of some sort, knowing that we're going to need to do this kind of work. And
Okay,
he is a mechanic, so I would assume that he would have like something.
fair
Or
enough.
some kind of explosives or something like that.
Yeah, not so much, but yeah, I mean, if that would be something that we would have thought of.
Or or
Maybe I have to burn a
a wrench or something. Yeah.
yeah, right.
Okay. All right. So you get down underneath the train and you can begin to work on decoupling the train. There'll be a few things to physically detach, and then there will be some electronic things that need to be done by Sparks as well to probably more than anything turn off all the alarms that will go off when the train is decoupled while it's moving. So that no one else is
Roger that.
wise to it. So you'll need to do security systems roll Sparks, and you can do a mechanics roll Eclipse, and that will be your action. All right. So meanwhile, back up on top of the moving train, we've got two guys kind of watching each end of the train in both directions, which means you're not watching the guys come up between the two of you. No, I'm kidding. That didn't
No,
happen. That didn't happen. So you both are probably near each other. You're just watching the same. There really isn't any room between you for anyone to come up out of it. No. So there, definitely one of the where Eclipse initially was, that panel does slide open, and you do see a helmeted dude pop up and look around.
okay, I am set. So in theory, I have a +1 on the to hit roll from the set. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a total of +6 to hit with
Okay.
OCV. I also have +6 on range modifiers.
To cancel range mods.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's not that far away, so that won't
Yeah,
matter.
it's an accumulation of effects from skills, the scope, and
Right.
the maneuver.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and roll to hit.
I hit a DCV of 17.
All right. DCV of 17. I think that's probably a pretty good hit.
I was gonna say, sounds like a headshot to me.
Yeah. All right. So you shoot that guy and he falls back down underneath because I'm pretty
Wow.
sure you're going to do 10 body. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Perfect. 30 stun. All right. All right. So you take that guy out. Let me cross him out the list. All right. Fine. All right, so you take that guy out. You take that guy out, and that will make the next guy think twice about poking his head up out the panel. And all right, so Eclipse, you got nothing going. Not Eclipse. Sorry, Ricochet, you've got nothing going on toward the back of the train, except you're watching Eclipse land on the train like a circus performer, and then do a swan dive off the edge, holding his chain like a bungee cord, and just getting right down to the side. Just total Arrow Flynn during that one. So, all right. So you're kind of covering that, and he's getting to work on it. All right. Did you make your roll? Spark
Yeah,
security
I
system succeeded by 8.
Yes, by 8.
And Eclipse, did you roll your
mechanics. Yep,
mechanic succeeded by 2?
made it by 2.
All right. So the back of the train decouples and it slowly begins to separate from the train. Now what? Now you're on the back end of the cargo car, and these guys are watching the next 2 cars up where there are people in the cars. They've been physically prevented from leaving their cars. and they don't like coming up that hatch anymore because they saw what happened to the guy who tried it. So now what?
What's in this? Y'all need to check what's in this cargo.
Yeah, so Eclipse has got, instead of moving along the top of the train, he's going to move through the inside of the train because it seems like a safer, faster way to get to the front. Swinging to the back was easy, but you can't swing to the front too easily.
Right.
So he's going to move his way up the cargo through, passing each of the vehicles. If he sees
All right.
anything interesting, let me know.
So this cargo car has the personnel carriers. So these are armored vehicles that look normal. They look like regular vans, like, I don't know, like a Sprinter van, like an Amazon delivery vehicle kind of thing.
The nice stealth vans.
But they're armored and protected, so they could go into a combat situation and yet still kind of look. They're plain. They look like utility vehicles. Like maybe if they put a couple cones outside while they're parked, you might just think the guy's working on the phone lines or something. Um, so, but they are definitely, you can tell upon close inspection that these are armored, the tires are reinforced, and all that kind of stuff. So this is definitely designed to take some hits, and so on. So there are 2 of them in this vehicle, and that's all that has room for.
Does it look like it can handle dropping off the train without being destroyed?
You mean, could you drive these vehicles off the car onto the ground? Or
Correct.
these would not do well driving off of a moving train.
Sorry, had a mouthful.
Because they still do look like vans. They're not all-terrain vehicles with, treads or anything like that.
And even if we were to stop the train somewhere in the middle of nowhere, we would still have a hard time driving away with those things. Is that not correct?
It would certainly need to be put onto a road. Those would be the best ways to take this vehicle. If you could find a road that crosses the tracks and stop the train there, and then they could probably handle driving off, doing some kind of stunt maneuver, driving off of the car itself, but probably not down into any kind of terrain, right? It's not an all-terrain vehicle. It would need to.
I'm suspecting that it might be our best bet to stick with the command vehicle that we've already got access to and go for the two jet bikes.
Yeah,
And
I was going to
just leave these
suggest
armored vans alone.
sabotage them.
Leave them alone, I would destroy them. But
Well, yes.
So you could drive them off the car if you wanted to, and then they wouldn't be worth much after that. I mean,
That's
they'd be.
true. They wouldn't be.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if we're still in a semi-mountainous area, just drive them off and send them off down the side and move up 2 cars and drop those 3, just like we did with the last 2.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, you guys
And
want
then
to do that?
we'd only be left with we'd have our 2 cargo cars and 2 personnel cars between the 2 those cars.
Right.
That's all that would be left once we decouple the front of the train.
And the 2 flying vehicles, how many people can fit in those?
You could probably put 2 people on each one, but it would just require 1 pilot, right? But they're
Right.
like a
I was thinking
motorcycle would seat up to 2 people.
It's not enclosed?
No.
Oh.
lots of bugs.
Well, 1 pilot each there and a couple in the big command vehicle, and away we go.
Yeah. So probably something like a
Sounds like a
pilot
plan.
and a gunner on those little bikes, right?
Yeah.
But the pilot could do the gunning too. It just the second person could be gunner, navigator, or whatever. they'd be back to back on like a motorcycle.
But 2 people in the command vehicles means one person can drive and the other can operate the weapon system.
Yeah, and also the person in the upper section would operate the weapon system. So it would be
Right.
maybe a couple different weapons systems, some guns down below, and the bigger weapons up above.
Right.
Okay. So what are you gonna do?
How about driving the vans off that
Do you want to do that,
that car?
Eclipse?
Yeah, Eclipse would be doing that. Hunter has to stay in Overwatch.
Yep.
All you're gonna have to
Rampage.
do is like
Is that your plan?
open the train or the whatever it is called.
Yeah.
And
To
then,
open the sides, right? So they
right.
would fold
Then
down.
start it and put something on the accelerator pedal and watch it leave.
Yes.
And
Like
wave.
turn the
Yeah,
wheel
gotta
to the
wait.
left and start it up, and then make sure you're not on it when it goes off.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. You jump into the first vehicle, which would be probably the one toward the back, and you first off you with Sparks' help, you both engage the opening of the car, and so it starts to open up, and so now you can drive that thing off the side. So you crank the wheel all the way to the left so that it goes off down into the ravine, and you get it started, and you wedge the gas pedal, and you jump out the passenger side while it heads off of the car. It has a rough, rocky time of it, and you can see it smash into a bunch of trees and stuff like that. It's done.
The environmentalists will be after us soon.
Rinse and
Trees are a
repeat.
renewable resource.
Okay, so then the next vehicle you hop up into and you prepare to do the same thing. And as you do, you notice there's a briefcase wedged underneath the seat. It's
Oh,
odd.
Grab it. Grab it.
Eclipse, what are you going to do?
Does the briefcase have any flashing lights?
No, but it does have some high security and potentially like cuffs, right? Like something higher tech than a set of handcuffs, right?
Gotcha. So
Hmm.
somebody's hiding something here of value.
cool.
Take it. Take it. Take it. Take it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it.
So you have
Um,
to grab it.
do I recognize the briefcase from my past dealings with Viper? Knowledge, skill, criminal operations.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll that.
Let me find it here on my skills.
If not, just roll.
Yeah, I'm not finding it, so I'm just gonna roll.
Is like 11 or less. Is that what it is?
It is 11 or less.
Okay.
Right on the nose.
Okay. Yeah, this is a typical attaché that carries intelligence.
Right. What's the name of our agent who does that kind of stuff?
That would be Jerry.
All right,
Yeah,
Jerry.
Sparks.
And
Sparks?
where is Jerry? Yeah, where is Jerry compared to where I am now?
He's on the original car that you landed on the train. He's connected and he's kind of jacked into the train's computer systems.
Well, then I just carry it with me.
Yep.
Okay.
Head his direction.
All right. So the second vehicle goes off.
Oh yeah. Right. Dispatch that thing.
Okay,
What the hell is happening back there? No one else can hear it except Sparks because he's jamming everything.
All right. I'm gonna.
So at this point, we'll be making our way back.
Situation normal there. We're going to find and then back into
back into the static.
Okay. Situation normal. Snafu.
Yeah,
That's
snafu.
right. Okay.
Solo on the Death Star going, we're fine, how are you?
Well, I mean, he does have some. He would know the close to proper terminology.
Maybe
Jerry
he
doesn't,
would.
but
All
Sparks
right.
would.
So, all right. So, Clips, you've emptied this cargo car. Now what?
We have to displace our overwatch position to be just forward of the place where we'll be decoupling the next set of 3 cars.
Okay. All right.
So Hunter would get up, and this time he's not going to be looking through his sights. He's going to look more carefully.
Well,
But
there's no point in being stealthy at this point either. So, you
yeah,
guys can just make your moves and get to where you need to be.
okay.
All right. So
Anybody got any hand grenades?
you're
Leave them a present.
I did not think to bring any, meaning I don't have any on my equipment list.
okay. So what are you gonna do about that open hatch? Or maybe it's not open anymore. Maybe it's been closed. That makes more sense. So they've closed that hatch and they're probably trying to figure out something else. Okay. So like using their weapons on the doors or something like that, try to get through.
That
Right.
makes sense.
All right. So all right. So you've moved to the next cargo car, and you're each watching forward and back. So is Ricochet still aiming back and Hunter looking forward? And you've got your
Yep.
positions, and you're just making sure no one's going to pop up out of other cars. Okay,
See
very.
it pop up
Yep.
and we don't shoot him. Okay.
What's that?
So we see Eclipse pop up and we don't shoot him.
I don't
Well,
know.
you're the
That's
one
up to
looking in
you.
that direction. You
Yeah.
have to make that decision.
Sorry, I was away for a second. My wife's pestering me to make her a cup of coffee.
You
Uh-huh.
popped your head up, Eclipse, and Ricochet took it off. Shot it.
Ah, damn it. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I'll see you guys next weekend then. It will get better, right? I mean, I've had worse injuries.
I just rolled your unluck. I just rolled your unluck over and over and over again until I got as many ones as I needed.
So that means no more
Um,
unluck rolls this
That's
campaign.
right.
Okay.
Okay.
Are the hatches electronically controlled also?
Yes, but they all have manual controls as well. They're
Yeah.
overrides.
Okay, well, I'm gonna still try to
Block them anyway, so they
make
have
sure
to.
they're made down and
Okay. All right. So you've got to the next hatch. You get into that. You detach the 2 other personnel cars. Those trail. That's a personnel car, and the open cargo, empty cargo car, now begins separating away from the train and slowing down. They have some braking systems built into them, so they slow down, carefully and appropriately. So those start leaving the train and head as the train continues on. Um, so now the train suddenly lurches as the engineers have figured out that they're not going as fast as they're supposed to be going, and that there's something going on, and they have the train going much faster. It's starting to kick up and go faster because they're using some overrides. They realize there's a hacker in the system.
How dare they?
I know, rude, but that's what they do. So now your train's starting to go faster, and so that's going to be causing a problem for you because you're going to start exceeding, um, you know, much faster speeds. You go from 100 kilometers an hour for our Canadian player, which was about 60 miles an hour, on up to 100 miles an hour, and I don't know. Do your own conversions. I have no idea. But
Yeah,
anyway,
160 kilometers.
yeah. So we're 100, 150 miles an hour is the
I'm
cruising
conversant
range
with
for.
both measurement systems.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. You're cruising much faster. The train lurches forward. It doesn't knock you off your feet, but you shift a little bit. Like whoops. Yep, we're starting to speed up. Okay. So you get to this cargo car, and inside there are the two hover bikes, and there's just some other equipment, and looks like maybe goes into a base, and this has some there's different thing, panels and all kind of stuff in here because the bikes don't take up all that space. They are bigger than normal motorcycles, but they ride similarly. They're almost like ski-doos, kind of. You know what I mean? They're big, but they have
Right.
so you ride on them, but they're
They'd
bigger
have
than
to
a
be bigger because they
yeah.
fly. They have
Yep.
jets on them or whatever.
Right.
Um, so I assume that the keys are in all these vehicles, right?
Yeah.
Great. So Eclipse is going to take the keys out of one of the hover bikes, put them in his pocket, and he's going to.
Well, hold on. Let me be clear on that. I thought you were referencing like I can start it, right? But
Oh
these are
yeah,
electronic systems, so they don't use keys quite like that. So they're
Physical
basically you
key.
just power them up.
gotcha.
So
In that case,
like a fighter jet doesn't have a set of keys.
But
You
sure,
turn
but
it on.
that means they do have other things on that I can use to disable them if it doesn't have a set of keys.
we
Like,
don't want to disable them. We want to fly away with them.
oh, I know that, but I don't want it to fly away when I'm not on it. So
But,
since I'm
but
at it
you're
now,
moving.
we may have to stop the train so we can get the other vehicles off. I want to make sure that no agent gets to it and flies it away.
Okay. When this thing stops, all we will have left is the big vehicle and the two hover bikes and two carts full of personnel between those two vehicles, right? Because you'll be going forward to decouple the engine and two personnel carts from the forward cart where we've got the heavy command vehicle.
Just a thought here. Um, can we use this hover bike to get to the front of the train and stop, like shoot it, shoot the engine so it slows down and stops?
But we don't want to stop the engine because then we have to deal with 4 cars of personnel. We want to decouple so the engine keeps going and jimmy its work so it can't stop. And then we only have to deal with 2 personnel cars, or possibly not even then, because if we then just drive away, we've gotten away.
Ultimately,
Yeah,
that
I'm
that
a
meets your
little
mission
fuzzy on the
specs, right?
order of the cars. So,
Okay, so you're now on the last car, right? The final
mhm.
car of the train now. This has the two hover bikes and some miscellaneous equipment inside this cargo car. There are then 2 cars moving forward on the train that are personnel or something else. Then there's the cargo car where the 4x4 tracks command thing is.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's
So
where Sparks is.
I
And ahead
see.
of that are 2 more personnel cars.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And I
So
want to
so
see.
so we're going to need you to be moving up to decouple the uh,
Great.
the engine and the 2 personnel cars from the forward cargo
Right.
car.
I understand. So I'm still in the same vein of thought. I don't want the hover bikes to leave without us.
But
And if we're
So,
engaged someplace else, we can't be guarding them.
we're no the Overwatch crew is going to be staying behind while you make your way to the front.
or you decouple that cargo car and the 2 personnel cars, and 2 Overwatch guys jump into those hover bikes and fly in them while you
Work.
guys
Yeah.
get that tracks car decoupled, and then you can drive off that thing, and maybe that's how it works. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Do we have
That
anybody
sounds
else
like a
here
good
who can
plan.
fly, who has combat piloting?
Not me.
I don't have combat piloting either, but I'm hoping it drives like a motorcycle.
Which is why
For
I was
sure,
wanting to see if I could slave the two together.
that might be a possibility. Then we only need one pilot.
Yeah.
So Eclipse is a pilot. He can fly it. If you can slave him, then maybe one could fly off the other. But you also need him to go forward and decouple the other train.
Yeah.
So
Well, they
that's why I
don't
was thinking it's
have.
easier just to remove a fuse or two from each of the bikes so they don't go away until we're ready for them to go away.
Okay.
So they don't
The
have
problem,
computer systems that allow autopilots or anything like that. So you can't electronically do that, but you might be able to physically connect them and see if, like, if you use your chain to
Also,
literally
one would
just
lift the other
one
one.
carry the other, it would probably hamper, your maneuverability and stuff. But your combat piloting would probably take care of you not crashing it that way. But it would probably not be the best ideal way of doing it, but certainly you could.
yeah, basically set it in like hover mode and tow the damn thing.
Yeah. Um,
It might help if you turn it on and just put it, yeah, yep. Instead of carrying it dead weight, have it
Put it
try
in
to,
neutral.
yeah, leave it in neutral. Exactly. Okay, you want to do that?
If it work, yes.
All right, let's give it a shot. Why don't you use your,
But we're not ready to do that right now because we need to decouple the rest of the
oh,
train, right?
yeah, okay. I was trying to pigeonhole you into something you didn't want to do. Dang it. All right,
All
so
right.
now what?
Okay. So you guys are going to stay here and guard the train while I go forward and decouple the front two, so that we don't have to deal with those the other two personnel
yeah. Okay.
carriers.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah,
Sounds like a terrible idea. I go forward by myself.
All right, make your mechanics roll, please. Make security systems roll, please. Just to see how you do on this one. Okay, succeeded.
And succeeded.
All right, so you've decoupled at the end of the first cargo, which means that now two personnel, miscellaneous, whatever cars, and the other car are falling back away from the train. And you, Eclipse, are on that section that's falling back. And you're running now back across the top of the personnel things. People are shooting up through the roof while you do that.
Marshall Dodge.
So let's see how that goes. They're shooting blind. I'm just going to roll some. I think I'm going to use your roll maker to roll against you. I think that seems appropriate.
Oh,
So we're going to do a two
he'll
hit.
never hit.
I just want to see what this looks like. An 8.
yeah.
Ooh, but that's not enough. Because your
Well,
DCV.
that's basic. I was gonna say.
Yeah. All right.
What
So a
what is
couple of
their
shots. You're
OCV?
dodging them. You're dodging them as you go through, trying to get back to the cargo thing. And so it's almost like, like you're literally running, and it's like but right behind you as it's shooting up through the roof of the car, and you jump down
Gunpowder
into
on my heels.
exactly. Um, so you jump down into the cargo thing, and you whip your chain around one of them after you fire it up, and then you fire up the second one that you're going to fly, and you chain to that, and then you launch into the air, and both of the vehicles do go. It's unwieldy, but you both manage it.
Okay.
You manage to get them both up in the air, and now you're flying toward the last cargo car on the train that's still running, but it's going really fast, so you're having a hard time catching up to it. What are you going to do to slow the train down enough to allow you to drive that tracks off with the 3 remaining dudes in it?
I'm
It's,
gonna try to apply the electronic brakes.
Okay. Those systems, you need to do another security systems rule at -5.
You're having a skill versus skill challenge.
Well, he's also being locked out through manual systems.
Right.
And so his computer control of the remainder of the train is now significantly hampered.
All right.
You can just roll your normal skill roll -5 in our heads.
I
Failed by
I put
2. You put
yeah.
-5 on it? Okay, good.
I put -3 because I have a +2.
Okay.
That
All
works.
right. So yeah, you're locked out. You
And we don't have hero points, but isn't there something in mission objectives that can allow him to take stress to increase his skill?
no, not agents. What would agents do with stress? What would agents do with stress? No. Okay, so what about this? What about you are locked out of security systems, and so you can now take on the vehicle instead, and these other guys are going to have to figure out how to slow down the train.
Well, there's actually I'm going to climb up into the turret
Oh, the top part. Okay.
and yep, and attempt to fire the weapon. Well, I'm gonna
Well,
plug my ears really well.
You're inside a closed cargo car.
Yeah,
I why
understand
don't you
that.
wait? Why
I
don't you
was
see it? May I suggest Hunter is carrying an anti-material sniper rifle. Let's let him empty a clip into the engine compartment itself and see if he can't do damage to the engine sufficient to slow it down.
or he could just shoot the connection. But what I
Um,
was going to say is I was going to fire one of the guns straight ahead into the back of the so it's like aiming through the door into the front part of the train and see if I can do enough damage in that area to cause it to decouple.
yeah, that could work too.
So you want to fire through the cargo car wall into the personnel car, into the other personnel car, and then into the engine car?
Well, aiming a little bit lower, like to take out. I don't know if I'll be able to
Oh,
depress enough to take
you
out the
you want to
connection.
decouple the car basically by
Yeah.
blasting the front of your car.
Yes.
I see. Okay. Well,
When he makes that attempt, the rest of us will be in the vehicle because
I
there
am
might be
nowhere
an
near you
abrupt
guys.
deceleration.
yeah, you're still trying to catch up. You're flying, towing another
If
vehicle.
I see that happening, I don't want to be anywhere near them.
And oh yeah, I'm having a hard time. Wow, you guys are going so fast. I can't really catch up to you. Too bad.
Hey,
Sorry, I can't be
if
near you when
somebody
this
else has got a
happens.
better idea, I'll listen.
Oh no! This I want to see the result of this. It's gonna be really good.
Okay. All right, so you guys all pile in the vehicle as quickly as you can, and then he's like, and he aims down. So the big turret above you has these guns on either side, right? And so he aims those down toward the front.
Back the car, back the whoever's in the
It's up.
driver's seat, back it
Yeah,
up as much as possible.
back it up.
Get us
All
as
right.
far away from the front end as possible.
So
And hold the fuck on. Excuse my
are you
language.
staying inside the enclosed car, or are you going to try to open it?
Open it first.
Do
Yeah,
you all agree with
opening would
that?
make a lot of sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So before you jump in, or at
Limit
least
some of the
before the
blowback.
last guy jumps in, you hit the button on the controls that opens the car at 120 miles an hour, 130 miles an hour. Okay, perfect.
Well, that should slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, or maybe like wings, it may
They
be
just get torn off.
you may create some lift. Who knows?
I'm flying a train. Is there a skill for that?
Yeah, with that we're going to make one right now. All right, so the doors start to open. Ricochet jumps into the car. Who's driving?
I will. Ricochet.
Okay, so Ricochet is already in the vehicle, and Hunter hit the controls and jumps into the second position. All right,
Okay.
the cockpit closes down over the top of you as the wind starts throwing things around the train. The side doors, which are made of pretty heavy steel, start to buckle and shimmy in the wind, and the turrets come down. And you can see this from your quarter mile back or whatever as you're flying back toward the train. You see this crazy situation of the doors opening and then the turrets aiming down and then massive uh, turret blast toward the front of the car. And you need to make it to hit roll. That's what it's going to come down to. Let's see it.
Go Sparks, go!
Eclipse makes his soliloquy. Holy
You hit an
shit.
OCV of 4.
Nice.
That's beautiful.
6. DCV of 6.
Oh, DCV of 6.
Yeah,
Okay.
with my
With your
OCV
OCV of 4. Yeah. You
Pretty
are
good.
not. You should not be behind the trigger of a giant weapon like that. Just note to self for the future: don't sit up there.
Oh, but it's so fun.
Okay, with your massive OCV of 4, you blast the front part of your car, which includes the back part of the other car, and it actually also goes through the joint coupling area, completely obliterates that and the track. Okay,
Oops.
so your
Whoops.
vehicle, because of the blast, derails on the front wheels, but the back part of the wheels stay on the track until it also hits the blasted tracks, and then it starts to derail and tumble. So what are you going to do? You're hitting the gas pedal on this thing. What's the
I hope
plan?
for help. Floor it.
Yeah, I can't see what else to do, so.
Okay, so what skill you got that might help you in any way?
Contortionist.
What?
Contortionist.
Contortionist. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
good for if there's a wreckage.
Let's see. Yeah, and there might be. So let's see what happens. All right. So in your skill list, you don't have a lot. You have combat skill levels. You have navigation. But
Yes.
That'll help.
you had that. So try survival. You might need that, but it's a different kind of skill. Uh, let's roll your navigation to see if you survive.
Succeeded by 3.
Nice. Okay, so you launch yourself. You just hit the gas on this thing, and it actually launches you into the air because as the car tumbles, it propels your vehicle, which you luckily just barely gunned, and so you're flying off the left side and down in toward the ravine, and just doing your best to dodge trees and large rocks as you careen down into that area. All right. Well, congratulations.
About what speed are they going?
They're going about 100 miles an hour. Uh, so, yeah, it's a very fuel efficient to use a train to get you going that fast, right? So, you careen down into the thing, and it does barely keep it going. All right, so you managed to get down into an area that is more clear, and you don't completely wreck your vehicle. So it's got some damage, from the crazy tumble down the side of where the tracks are. Luckily, it wasn't a deep ravine, and it opened to some meadows. But there you go. You have succeeded in getting this vehicle off the train, and the train continues forward, but it's dragging the last car, and some people are kind of hanging off of it, trying not to fall, while it's kind of derailed from behind. But anyway, you manage to Sparks then turns the guns up onto what remains of the train as it's going off in the distance and takes a few pot shots at it, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll. Let's see what happens. Let's see if you can do any better than, I mean,
I am gonna try to lead it a little bit.
okay.
I do know that much.
Nice.
Hey, better than the last time.
Nice. Okay. So you blast the engine car of the train and it just blows up. Just the whole train just completely blows up. All right. So you
Oh,
have
this is fun, guys.
succeeded in your, I like this vehicle. You've succeeded in your mission. Now, I want you to do a cryptography roll, whoever has the best cryptography, to get that briefcase open.
That would not be Hunter.
I've got a 16 or less.
Hey,
Eclipse will land
And
next to their
and
vehicle there in the field
Mhm.
and give them the briefcase.
Yep.
but yeah. And take extra time.
Okay, good. So you are back at your safe, wherever the safe place is, that your egress point, etc. You've succeeded in the rest of this mission, and now you're sitting there in whatever warehouse or hangar or whatever you have commandeered and parked these vehicles in temporarily. And you're looking at the briefcase. And go ahead and roll your. Let's see. Did you roll your cryptography? Okay. So with panache.
Well, that was a 16 without
Levels.
modifiers.
Right.
With that, well, no, that was with levels, but without time modifiers.
Can't we
Okay.
just call Cypher and say, hey, we have something interesting?
You don't know Cypher.
Oh, okay.
Yet.
So, all right. So here's what happens. You crack the case without tripping any of the other security. You've properly decrypted it, and the locks on the case go and they unlock. So, who's going to open the case? Eclipse goes to the next building because he doesn't want to be anywhere near where you open the case. No, who's going to open the case? Which of the four of you are going to do it? Are you all going to do it at once? Let's all do it together.
Sure, Eclipse will open it.
Who?
Yeah, do it together.
Eclipse will open it.
All right. We all certainly gathered around trying to figure out what it is. You open it up, and basically it has intel in there that shows that there are some unusually high power sources deep underground at a particular location not far from where you are. So you quickly mount up because you could use these power cells for sure to keep these vehicles running, power other vehicles, even power weapons. It could do all kinds of stuff. So that's definitely an attractive mission. It's not far from where you're at. So the GM makes the command decision for your characters that you decide to go to check it out. All right.
Oh, definitely.
So you find, based on where everything is, you find the let's see, we want to go here. Oh, hold on. Clear. Where is? Oh, there it is. Okay.
we saw
All
a
right.
map flash before our eyes.
Oh, that was just Millennium City. That's the default table. All Okay, so you head to the
Okay.
opening, and it is a large. I don't know. You could drive your big command vehicle through the opening to a mountainous, some kind of bunker or something, and so you get in there, and this place has been abandoned for several years, and you probably 4 or 5 years. This place has not had anyone here at all. Maybe longer than that. It's hard to tell. So you head inside, and it continues in. There's like a road that goes in. So think of like the Stargate complex or whatever, right? And from the TV series where there's an external mountain entrance, and then you go
Cheyenne
in.
Mountain.
Yeah, Cheyenne Mountain. You go into the mountain, and then there's things that go down, and you take elevators and stuff. And it has like shoddy power at all. There's like some emergency lights, security lights that kind of are flickery and don't work very well. And so the place has got a spooky kind of vibe going on. And you end up getting all the way to where this intel says. Intel doesn't cover a lot; it just helps you get right to where I was talking about, where the scans have been. So you've kind of find it must be this far underground. It's kind of over here, these coordinates, da, 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 da. And so you get it all kind of figured out, and that brings you down to the bottom of the bunker. And so this brings you to this deep underground military base. And so you come in about over here, right? Okay.
Okay.
And the power sources, of course, are on um, the right side, or sorry, right side. It's the way I'm looking at it. It's the right side. But these things here each contain um, the power sources inside them. So you could extract those from there. Okay, and so this base, or whatever it was, um, is apparently got something to do with the power sources and how they're stored in this deep underground base. So maybe it looks abandoned. It looks like there's not a lot happening here for years, but these power sources may be, whatever actual energy source it is, energon or whatever, um, they're still active or still usable. And so you've got these giant batteries basically that you can, when I say giant, I don't mean like taller than you. I mean like not D size batteries. They're like triple Z.
Right.
Okay. So they're big. They're like the
Batteries.
size of a giant duffel bag or something, right? Not little batteries. Okay. Like a rucksack sized
Hmm.
device. So each of you could carry one, but they're 80 pounds or whatever. They're not Duracells. Okay.
Okay.
Are there any computer access points or anything?
If nothing's powered for that, so literally you're in this area, and there is not much going on. This is defunct, which is maybe part of
Were
what
we
made
able to
this so
get this?
attractive, right?
Were we able to get to this point with a vehicle,
No,
or
no,
did we
you had
leave
to
the
leave the
vehicle at some point?
vehicles up at ground level, so to speak,
Okay.
and you had to
Okay.
go down staircases because the elevator wasn't working. You had to like
Gotcha.
go
Okay.
down an elevator shaft because the elevator wasn't working. One elevator was sort of working, but
Okay.
you didn't really trust it, and so you went down several levels underground. So this is maybe like, I don't know, a mile underground. It's deep underground.
So it's going to be a long trek back, carrying a lot of weight.
Yeah, yeah, you can handle it.
Okay.
Well, it might be a
So
little
Eclipse is
harder on
looking
Sparks.
around, and he sees over here that there are these hover jacks.
Well, there's something.
Somewhere?
Yeah, it's hard
Wouldn't
to
those
say
be
exactly
a
what they are,
convenient
right?
way to start those up, and they could carry the batteries easier for us, especially when we have to climb
What?
through elevators and stuff like
Maybe.
that.
Does it actually say
They look like the
hoverjack on
right
them?
kind of thing. Like they look like some kind of high tech forklift of some sort.
Maybe.
Certainly worth
They're
checking out by our
not
more
locked in
mechanically
place.
inclined folks.
Yeah, yeah, it looks exactly like the right thing, and you probably just control it with by sitting on it. Can Eclipse figure out how to work it?
Try your mechanics roll. Let's see. They're not that heavy. They're 80 pounds. They're not that heavy. You're going to have a
Well,
harder time extracting them from those devices,
Hmm.
from whatever
so
they're in.
do,
The thing that
these
actually powers, whatever these powered.
what are these devices? Are they what they look like they are?
What? Those
These
things over there?
Yes, they
Are
look
they?
like they're
Well,
forklifts that fly.
they they like you just carry them the way they are or something. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I think
He's
you
trying to
strap
figure out what
them.
they are.
Yeah.
So you're over there trying to figure out what they are. They actually, I don't know. They really weren't supposed to be used. Uh, they are deep underground military base decoration. That's their
Okay.
primary
Very
purpose.
good. Then in that case, Eclipse leaves them there, and he carries his battery in his arm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you have to come over here and figure out how to get them out of these things first.
Oh, I see.
Hmm.
So they're in there. It's going to take some skill rolls for you to sort that out. So
Well,
It
Hunter's
looks
willing to
kind of like a
blast.
forge from this side.
what's
There's a
that?
door right here.
Yeah, just open the door, right?
Oh, no, that's just the exhaust. You're probably going to have to figure out how to get in there somehow.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I really should.
This
What I'm learning today is that I should look at these 3D objects really closely first.
I I'm going to make a semi-educated guess that
Because you're
this
going to look
stack
at them.
continues straight up.
Yeah, up through the ceiling and stuff like that. So it's like this is
Okay.
how either maybe it's some kind of exhaust or maybe it's just a cook stove. I don't know. Could be a lot of things.
Well, is there any writing on them?
Yes, there would be some writing, but it would not be anything like instructions. It would be more like a symbol that's like not the radioactive symbol because it's not radioactive, but like high voltage kind of thing, and then it would be like a designated number that would like maybe they would use that to tap in how they're going to route the power or that sort of thing.
Gotcha. So the power looks like it's that smaller cable on the left side of each one.
But yeah,
And it looks
or
like that thing would just unplug by turning that outer baffle right there.
yeah, maybe,
So
or you could probably do that, but you probably have to open that disc that's on the top somehow and
yeah,
get
I
yeah.
was thinking that I was thinking along those lines too. I just didn't want to open it up while it maybe still have to be powered and fry myself. So I thought maybe it'd be safer to disconnect it first.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So go ahead and make your mechanics roll. Which one are you going to work on of these four?
I'll work on the first one.
Okay. All right. So you're working on this one right here, and you're going to unscrew this outer thing around the hose, and you're going to try to disconnect that. All
Correct.
right. So you
Looks like
succeed
the
by
power
3.
in.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Suddenly, as soon as you tamper with that enough that it kind of is loose, the lights come on in this whole area. It kind of powers up. You hear this.
I
Um,
meant to do that.
you hear this, right? This accelerating sound of things powering on, and
I knew I should have been a tech guy. This is easy.
yeah, yeah.
Power systems engaged.
Uh-oh.
Bring my weapon to the ready.
And yeah, so the whole thing turns on and begins to transform. And what you see are a couple of robots come
Uh-oh.
out from some different areas that I'm not showing on in the current map, but there it transforms. Things
What
begin
transforms?
to change. Well, okay, so some things begin to change about the physical layout of this giant room, and
Ah,
it looks like things begin to convert into almost like manufacturing assembly lines. And from the floor in this area right here, the concrete actually drops down, a large square area drops down and begins to separate. And coming up out of the floor is a large vat. And so that is where we're going to leave off today, with this room beginning to convert. So we're going to schedule part 2 where you're going to fight for your lives to get those energy cores out of there and tell the tale. So tune
Assuming we
in
survive.
next time.
all
All
right.
right, guys. Thanks. I will schedule that in the Discord, and it'll probably be the same time slot.
So noon.
Maybe what?
Can we make it an hour earlier so we can start at 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll actually start it on time next time, and then we'll
Right.
have an exciting little fight, and who knows what else happened. Maybe you'll be able to get out with the. Uh, by the way, once you get that disconnected, you can see easily where to remove the rest of the containment unit so that you can access. It'll just pop up out of the unit, rise, and then you can grab this large barrel-shaped power unit from inside that. Okay,
All right.
so you know exactly what to do. Now it's just a matter of time, and some robots have come out of a storage area in the walls. Okay.
All right.
So
Mm.
if Tara gets her character built, would you allow her to join?
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, because we
Okay.
haven't really done anything to establish, any. It's you've all just arrived, and that's fine. That's all. That's where we decided to stop. I decided to stop for now. Is you've arrived and you have triggered something that's now going to make life very interesting for you. So there we go. All right, guys, we are good to go for today. Then, thanks for coming and playing, and
Thanks for
hope you
having us.
enjoyed the agent side of things as opposed to just all supers. And
Yeah.
we'll see how this goes.
Oh yeah,
So maybe before we wrap it up here, you could give us all a promotion so that we can bring our minis in, and then you can save the table with our minis, so we don't have to do it next time when we meet.
Oh, good idea. Promote. Yes. You guys all have minis? Promote.
I do not.
Yes. Okay. Well, you'll have some time to get one together or something before then. All right. You all are promoted, so you can bring something in and save it at the table.
Do you want us to save it in the scene or on the side?
Put it in the scene, and I'll just pack it back up again. That's fine. That sounds good.
where'd it go?
Yep, right there. Great. Cool.
Oh, there he is.
Uh, is it okay just to send you
I have it.
the asset?
And also I'll build your mini from it. That's fine. It's not that hard to do. It's
In theory, it's already built because Hero Forge has an
yep.
option to
I totally know
select
it.
tabletop simulator format.
Yep. So what you have to do is you go to
Okay.
components, and then you go to custom, and then you go to asset bundle, and that's your asset bundle right there. But now I have to paste in your URL. So I think I have that. Maybe we can make it right now. Let's see. All right. Asset bundles. Minis. Hunter.
Nice picture there, Eclipse.
Oh, I'd take credit for it, but it was a friend of mine that drew it.
Still looks cool.
Yeah, thank you. I modified it a little bit. I made the chains longer.
Heroes.
They were pretty short before, so
Hunter.
I imagined them longer, so I made them longer.
Copy link.
I just threw this together on Hero Forge,
Yeah, no, I see that.
and then just instead of buying the
Yeah, you took a picture.
just a picture front and back.
Nice, nice.
If you zoom real in, there's even a picture on the inside of his cyber deck.
Where'd it go? Where'd your mini go? I heard it import.
Probably flew up in
It's
the air.
usually
Oh,
up in the air a little bit when you first import it.
it does what?
It usually tends to go a little bit up in the air a little bit.
I don't see it.
Who's
Okay, well I'll get it for you for next time. No worries.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet, guys. All
Is
right.
this it right here?
Oh, I know.
what?
I know what I did.
Ricochet?
That's mine. I just put him in there.
Okay, cool.
Delete. All right. I'll get it set up for you, and you'll have your mini. It's not hard to do.
Ricochet's cool. Where'd you find that?
I'm not seeing Ricochet. Oh, Ricochet.
Some
Yeah.
kind of a brute.
I think it's based off of the Bane character from Batman.
Oh, yeah, okay. Is he really short, or can I make him taller?
You can make him taller.
Green beans. That's right. All right, guys. Cool.
Did you-
Thanks for the fun.
I'm gonna go ahead and save the table, and I have to pack this in now. Pack it in.
I expect
boys.
all of you guys to buy the ability to fly things from now on.
He doesn't want to be the only
well,
guy.
actually, if I can find the right programs or create the right programs, I can do that.
All right, you guys. Thanks so much for joining the table. I'm gonna shut it down now,
Thanks for
and
running.
we'll end the recording. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. See y'all later.